Kaspar, we are going to talk about Tesla.
Tesla and only Tesla.
And why Tesla? Because Tesla is in the news. Tesla had its figures. And as always, with Tesla and Elon Musk, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, the share price went down.
Went down almost 7%.
Yeah.
So it's not extremely, it's not like it crashed, but it did correct from previous levels. How are we going to do this? What about if I do the technical part and you do the more fundamental part?
And the product part.
And the product part, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting share.
Yeah.
And it's a popular share with retail investors.
Yeah.
And I think we want to give some more insight from all angles, so you can decide.
It's a big company, eh?
Yeah, if you can, then you can decide if it's for you the right moment to sell your shares, to buy the shares. So because everybody has different topics, different fundamentals or technical aspects that they find important to build their decisions on.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into Tesla,
Yes.
Martin.
Yeah, so I picked one model, the Model Y, and why is the
Why?
Yeah, why? I don't know, because that's the car that I drove in once, of a client actually by us, and I liked it inside. It's special, no, with the big screen in the middle. But I'm not going to bore you with what I like. What is important? The car is about 50,000 euros in Spain. And I took a comparison just on Auto Trader in the Spanish Auto Trader. I said, what can you buy for 50,000 euros new that is electric and has more or less the same size as a Tesla Y? And that is the Volvo XC40 and the Volkswagen ID4, both sort of like sub cars. Please check them out. Nice looking cars. So you already mentioned it's many times it's something that you buy a car based on tradition, no, from your father, or you buy it because of a friend has it, or because you like it. A car it's
You buy it for the brand.
For the brand, yes. And Tesla, of course, does not have that. My father was never able to buy a Tesla when I was young, because that car didn't exist yet. So there's some backstand they had there. But if you compare the cars, you mentioned, yeah, but Tesla has the longest autonomy, and it's actually not true, because Tesla, the Model Y on the internet, has a autonomy of about 430 kilometers. If you look at the Volkswagen ID4 and the Volvo XC40, they're over 510 kilometers of radius maximum, so what you can ride with it. I think it's very personal, because one person is pushing the accelerator a little bit more than the other one brakes a little bit later than the other one, so I think it's depending also on your driving.
I think I was thinking that you have also the 60 model, for example, Volvo, and if you would ask me up front, so which model you can compare the Tesla Y, I was thinking about a much larger.
Yeah, of course, but I looked at the price.
Yeah.
And I think I understand what you say, because the Volvo XC40 and the Volkswagen ID4 have much smaller capacity for the back of the car. So you can put about 850 liters in the Tesla, and you can only put about 580, 540 liters in the Volvo and the Volkswagen. Okay. So they lose to that. For you, it's important, Kaspar, 0 to 100 Tesla in 5 seconds. The other two cars 2 seconds later, so they take about 7 seconds to get there.
So 40% slower.
40% slower, yes. But I don't think it's very important, because 1, 2, and you're there. You know, if in traffic, it's not MotoGP, it's not Formula One, so it's a less relevant fact. On the other hand, in the past, for these performances, you needed to buy a 911, right?
911, yeah.
Yeah, and even still. So, going from one technical aspect about the cars, going to and I left out the power, because what you look at, how you compare it, look at kilowatts, the output, how much kilowatts can they perform. I didn't look into that, because I don't think it's relevant for this video. But from a technical perspective, the stock, I have here the chart in front of me, and there's two ways to look at a chart. One way is about statistics, so it's using, like, for instance, a moving average or relative strength. Those are indicators everybody sees the same thing. And another thing is what I see. So it's optical, based on what I see with my eyes here in front of me. First of all, statistic wise, what I see on the moving average is basically the 30-day average of the price of the stock divided by 30. And each day, a day falls off and a day is added. And the same thing for the 90 days. So there's the monthly average compared with the quarterly average. And you see that the 30-day average is approaching from above the 90-day average. So you see the price is actually going down. And when that happens, you saw that happening also in October
But it's an important sign.
It's very important, and it's a pretty easy indicator for yourself also to put in your chart. You saw that happening in October last year, and the price went down from 300 to 130. So I'm not saying that is going to happen again, but you can clearly see this, and everybody sees that. You cannot discuss this with me that you don't see this, because I can point it. This is where it happens, and you can confirm that. The relative strength index, which is like an indication of whether the stock is overbought or oversold, is more or less neutral. So it doesn't give you a really clear indication. It's going down a little bit, so there's like some sales pressure. But then the optical part, and I think is also interesting. We look at October 2020. You see a very clear lever where Tesla was struggling to get through upwards, which was the 130s. By coincidence, when the correction took place last year, the stock went down from 300 to that resistance level of October 2020 to the 130. And I think that is really important for you as an investor to take that in consideration. The price is slightly going down, depending on what chart you look at, but that 130 could be in reach again if they don't conceive what they're actually planning to do with all this price lowerings, what they've just announced. So that is from a technical perspective. Interesting chart, difficult to make a decision on, as always.
But based on the moving averages, it's going down.
Yeah.
And the RSI is in the middle, but it's also pointing a little bit down.
Yeah. But it has to go down even further to give it a clear.
Give it a buy signal. Again.
Exactly, because in January you saw the RSI was below 30,
and
the stock price was at the resistance of October 2020.
But from a technical perspective, we can say there's a down pressure.
It's pressure, going down. Now you are going to tell us a little bit more under the bonnet.
Fundamental side. Yes, but first, if you look at the performance of the share over the last year and the last 5 years, the last year it was down, so 1 year almost 50%. If you compare it to the S&P 500, it was only down 6 point something percent. So that's negative. But if you look at over a longer term, I think probably all the investors know, but for example 5 years, then it's still up. The S&P is still up 55%, and the share price of Tesla is still up 833%.
In 5 years,
In 5 years. So there is some space in there, let's say. And since the IPO, I don't want to mention it. I do. It's almost 12,000%. So hopefully there are viewers that bought it with the IPO and never sold it. Yeah. First of all, what I want to say is that the main strategy, you can say it's the main strategy of Tesla, that they want to increase the sales. So they want to sell as many as possible cars.
Units,
products. And they have a target of every year to increase it to 50%. They were in the first quarter up 30-something%. And that's the main goal. That is also what Musk said in the call, so in the analyst call after the figures yesterday. He also said that is our main driver, and we believe that strategy will end up with a lot of happy clients over the next years. Because what you said, Tesla is relatively a new brand, a new product, so they have to build up their clients. And they think that when you buy a Tesla, then you will never buy another car. So they want to sell as many to build up their client group. Base, So that's the strategy, and to meet that goals, they have to suffer on other sides, you can say, and that's what's happening. So I think also I will close down with that. When you have to believe in that, you have to understand that strategy, and you have to believe in that strategy. Because that's what they are doing. And so what are the consequences? What they did this month in Europe and also in the US, they lowered their prices of the cars by 5% on average. Not on all the models, but on average on the models. 5%. In a time where you have high inflation. This is not the first time this year. No, they did it already multiple times. So they think lower the prices, selling more cars. And that's also what Elon Musk said. But I think on the other hand, so with the price of a Tesla, it's deflation what's going on this year.
Yes.
And with deflation, and you want to build up happy clients. So if I bought the car by the 1st of January for $55,000,
Yeah, and now
you're buying it for 50.
Yeah,
Am I a happy customer?
You're gonna sell the sales guy. Please help me tell
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah. Am I a happy customer? No, I don't think so.
No, you're not.
And I think it's even worse because if you are thinking to buy it and you know, oh no, they lower the cost every 2-3 months. I wait because it will be cheaper. That's the negative side of deflation. People will
100%, yeah.
will not buy, and it's significant. $3,000, $2,000 on a car. So I think lowering the cost is a difficult one to and you
justify.
And you also can't keep going on with lowering the costs. Okay.
The price, you mean? The price of the cost.
Yeah. You can't
cost
lower
price of the car.
Yeah, sorry. If you look at the gross profit margin declined from 29% in the year ago to 19%. That's a big one. And the operation margin went down from 90% to an 11%, and the net income declined to 24%. And that are not really good figures.
Well, that explains why the price of the stock went down.
Yeah, and Musk said, but our margins are still above the averages in the market. That's it's also true, but markets don't like if there is a trend. No, it's a downgoing trend. Not everything is negative. If you look, for example, at the cash flow, they burned a lot in the last years, but they now are increasing the free cash flow, and that's always positive. For example, stationary storage is the fastest grower under the Tesla umbrella if you look at revenues, but it's still the smallest revenue generator.
Okay, yeah.
But that's a good sign. So the cash flow goes up. If you look at the debt, it's also positive. If you go back to 2019, the total debt was $13.5 billion, and in 2022 it went down to 3. So from 13.5 to 13.
Yeah, that's very
net
good.
Debt.
That's very
in
good.
a time where interests are going up, so the cost of
that's
borrowing
a
is
good
getting
thing for them.
expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, debt in relation to relate to assets, they have around 100 billion in assets.
Also, if I can say, the investments that they have done it because they have invested a lot in factories, and they probably borrowed money against low interest rates to do that. Those investments are maybe paid off now, or that's a smart thing what he did.
Yeah, financial wise, 100 billion in assets, 3 billion in debt is not a lot.
Nothing, no.
And now you also see the debt of the assets went up from 50 billion in 2019 to 100 billion 5 years later. So they do something.
Yeah, they do a lot with that. Yeah, they build factories and stuff.
That's really positive. Also, if you look at the earnings per share, they went up. I think they started making money in 2020.
Yeah.
There was a couple of cents.
Yeah.
And they went up last year, 2022, to $3.62. And the expectations are that this year is almost the same. And that's also not growth. And of course, can it be the same when your because the amount of sales go up, the margins go down, and the earnings per share or the profit per share stays around the same.
Same level, yeah. Yeah, that's obvious.
The expectations of next year are better, and the market thinks around $5.50. So based on that, if you look at the how many times do you buy the profit? It's still a lot, of course. It's what is it? It's about
35, 40.
But it's much less than in 2020 or in 2021. Then you pay 200 times the profit.
Yeah.
So it's getting a normal, from a fundamental perspective, it's getting a little bit more normal company.
Yeah, definitely. Not if you compare to German car companies, because if you go back to my Volkswagen, it's like 7 times the earnings, I think.
Yeah.
But still, they've done a great job. Absolutely. We're bringing it down on these levels if they keep going like this.
One thing, working capital 1.4 to 14 billion in the last 5 years.
It's
also positive. Yeah. So
from how you say that, bedrijfseconomisch in Dutch, from a company economic perspective, they've actually done pretty well.
Yeah. Especially the debt. If you compare it to other electric car companies, they have much more debt. Debt is always the problem.
Yeah, because they are selling already. Yeah. You don't see Rivians, you don't see Geelys,
They have high debt. The debts are always the problem. They hardly don't have any.
No, that's going to be the big problem. That's what I heard this morning also on the radio, that the debt is going to be really coming out next year. the interest cost for companies.
And they hardly don't have their problem, and they're making already a profit. So it's an interesting company, I think, from a fundamental perspective, because they have some really positive signs, but also some negative signs.
Correct.
But when you have that, it's getting a more interesting company to follow. So if you are focusing on profit per share, then this year probably will be the same because the margins go down, but next year it will go up. And if you believe in the strategy, I think it's you can look at it.
Absolutely, totally agree with you.
And the call with Musk was not really positive because the retail investors, they wanted everything. They wanted to know about the future truck that they're gonna deliver, but Musk was a little bit, I don't know, probably Q3. The prices we don't know, the product exactly how it looks out we don't know, and that's also what analysts don't like.
They don't like that.
And then you come back to where I started with: you like Musk. No, but it's also with Trump. You like Trump, you don't like him. You like Musk, you like Tesla. You're long in it, you're short in it.
Absolutely.
So I hope we gave a little bit more inside information about the car, the product, technical aspect, and the fundamental aspect, so you can make your decision now.
Absolutely.
Is it time to buy it? Is it time to sell it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.